Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back once again. We're excited, as always, that you are with us.
Yes.
I'm Pastor Christopher Mays with Reimagine Church. This is Lucy Beretta. Welcome to the On God podcast. We're so glad that you're here. And we just want to get into, before we get into what we're going to talk about today, we want to get into a couple of announcements to just let you know that if you've been trekking along with us, you've been following along in these episodes, we are coming to a close of season 1. Mm-hmm. This is going to be the last episode of season 1, which will be released on the last Friday of June 2024. And Lucy and I are going to take some time along with the rest of the church. We really just have a lot of things going on.
Yes.
In my family, we have a slew of birthdays that most of them are in August. But when we get into June and then especially July and August, we're just like slammed with with birthdays. So having some space and some reprieve is going to be good for us. Plus, the church has things going on, and we know that folks in life just have stuff going on. July and August are the two biggest heavy hitters in the summer usually for folks, and they're at camp and they're doing this and graduation parties and pool parties and all sorts of things. Weddings, yeah. So we're going to take some time off in July and August of 2024, but we will be preparing for and we're going to muster up some content and we will relaunch and we will come with season 2 in September 2024. So we wanted to just put that out before we get into where we're going with today's content for this episode, so that way nobody's caught off guard and they're like, well, it seems like they dropped off the map. No, we didn't drop off the map. We're just letting you know right out the gate. This will be the end of season 1, and then in September of 2024 we will launch season number 2.
I would say this is good wisdom.
Absolutely.
Good wisdom.
Absolutely. And we're going to take the time, while we're taking a break for the summer to just learn more things, think through more things, and we'll just see where God wants to take us going into season number 2. Right. Sound good? All right. Well,
that's good.
Lucy and I just we just had some really good conversation
we did.
About some things, and I have no doubt, as I say this probably every single time, God's going to share some things that are going to provoke us and stir us. And Lucy has some things that I have no idea what she's going to say, but I can't wait to see where it takes us to share with you something that's helpful, something that we can shed some light on culture to bring it back into context. So let's go, Lucy.
And we use a Bible. We use the Bible to kind of establish, even when we get started on our own here, we like to go to the Word because we know that's truth, and it will bring truth to the conversation, which is really what we need in today's culture. So we're all about, hey, if we can impact your life, if God can impact your life through us, we are so thankful. And we've been talking about wisdom. This is probably the last scripture that we have been using, which is 7, and we've been talking about wisdom and knowledge. Knowledge being if we look at wisdom, the word of wisdom, we've already gone through some of them, like the word simple and the word knowledge and prudence, things of those areas that all make up probably the umbrella of wisdom. So we continue today in talking about the wisdom, and probably we want to have some examples. I would love to hear some examples from you, Chris, on how you use wisdom. We can use wisdom for everything. I know for myself, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to this topic. When I go grocery shopping, let's do grocery shopping. How do you grocery shop? I don't even know.
How do I grocery shop?
I shouldn't ask him because I'm going to guess.
I have a list, first off.
Okay, there we go. See, I start with the list too. Do I go when I'm hungry? No, although sometimes I'm forced to.
That's the worst time to grocery shop.
It's the worst time. So here we go with just little nuggets of wisdom. And really, God has given us those nuggets. Because I didn't always grocery shop like I do now. I take a list. I make a list as I go, actually, because if I make a list the day I'm going, I forget probably 5 out of 10 things. So I make it as I go. If I run out of something, there's a little piece of paper on my counter, with a pen. Put it down. Okay, so I have my list. I'm ready to go shopping. I still use some wisdom. How much is that now? Did it go up? How many? And some people really go by the units. My brother does. I don't do that. I look at the prices overall. I try to look at how much it is per ounce or gram or whatever that is. I'm not that good at math, so I just look at the whole price. If it's too expensive, I'm like, nope, I don't think I'm going to buy that today. So just constantly being aware of prices, constantly be aware of sales. Sales can be deceiving at times if we're not aware of what it might be per ounce or gram or whatever they go by. We can be deceived by the prices. So again, using the wisdom that God gives us to even grocery shop, He is so faithful to provide products, the finances. I always thank Him when I get out of the store because products are now very expensive. Do we eat meat this week or do we eat eggs? Eggs are still a little bit less expensive. He will give you the way. He will show you what to do if you have questions. And most of the time, I just let Him lead. I don't question everything that I go through the store for, but I will use the wisdom He's given me to grocery shop. The same with clothing shopping. Same thing. Do we really need that? Is it something we really need? Do you need that new shirt, Chris? I'm just asking. I knew you were going to say that. I had a friend that just attended a wedding, and she wanted a new dress. I said, do you need that dress? Well, I have 3 or 4 I could use, but I just want it. Okay. So
that's a whole conversation
it's a whole
right there.
Conversation right there. So for me, over the years, I have tried to become more frugal.
Yeah.
More aware of my budget. And I do have a budget, which is another subject, but budget counts. Budget makes it or breaks it. For me, I am debt-free. I have no debts. I have been for 3 years. God showed me how to get out of debt. And some of these little nuggets like grocery shopping and sale shopping and, whether you need something or not is all a part of it. So when I lay out the budget, how much do I have for clothes? How much do I have for groceries? All of these things take the wisdom of God to know how to facilitate that budget and the finances that He gives us. So I'm grateful for that because being a single mom, there were weeks when I had 25 cents in my wallet for 2 weeks. And the only reason I had 25 cents in the wallet was because we didn't have these back then. We did not have iPhones. We had public telephone booths. Don't laugh.
Listen, I'm 46, so I know.
So I had to have a quarter in the event that there was something that I needed to call emergency-wise, stop at a phone booth. That's the only reason I had 25 cents in my wallet. But there were weeks. But you know what? God got me through. He got me through every time. And if we trust in Him for our finances, and that's another subject we'll get to maybe when we get into Proverbs a little bit more specifically at some point, if that's where we're going to go with it. But for now, the wisdom of God can help us with the finances. I think even in King Solomon's day, he networked. We call it networking today, but he knew who to be in touch with. Queen Sheba was just fascinated by his wisdom, so she gave him things. She donated to his plan. People who you hang around, you can have the favor of God with them, and they can promote something financial in your life. Wisdom and wealth can go together. It's not necessarily always that way, but for King Solomon, I believe it was the wisdom that he had that also brought the wealth to his life and to his kingdom. I might as well say he had a kingdom, but with all the wives he.
Yeah.
But been there before.
We've
but
had that
Yes, we
conversation.
have. But it really, really is a connection, and in giving or bringing offerings to people who need them, God will always, always reimburse. But that's another subject too. I'm just trying to show wisdom and wealth can go together as they did with Solomon. God blessed Solomon because his first desire was not wealth. It was not wealth. That's always kind of the last thing that God says is important. And I did write down a couple of things that I really feel like being wealthy, we strive for wealth, especially this country. We're so spoiled. We have everything in this country we really need. And I know there's poor folks and people that don't have. I understand. But for the most part, we've just been blessed. Anyways, through Proverbs, we can read about the wealth, but we can also read what God puts before being wealthy. Honesty, a good reputation, a godly character, a peaceful home with love, which is key for me, and the wisdom. Those are just a few things he would put above wealth. We don't have to strive for wealth. If we we ask God for wisdom, he will give us the wisdom, but he will give us way over and above the wisdom. It's all connected. I thank him because he's given me this time on earth and the wisdom to go with it at my age. We do accumulate, we do experience, so we do have the wisdom of God. Mm-hmm. As we grow and as we get older and older, we should be able to say we now have more wisdom and more experience. We mellow out a little bit in life, and that's a good thing. So I'm grateful for where I'm at. I'm grateful for the wisdom of God, and hopefully at some point, like I said, we will get into specific scriptures for certain subjects like money. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Grocery shopping for you?
I guess. Fun factoid, as they say. So today, which is not today by the time this airs, it'll be a different day.
That's true.
But anyways, today, which is the 7th that we're recording this,
right.
It was yesterday, actually, the 6th. My wife was kind of laying into me about my calendar for today because we needed to grocery shop. And I've got a lot of things on the docket for today. You and I are recording podcast episodes and have a council meeting later this evening. And she wanted to know, when is this grocery shopping happening? And I had to just agree to not go. And she's like, I'm just going to go without you. And I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Her and I do shop similar, but different. I think I tend to lean more into the snacks and things, and she will lean more into the healthy things.
I would have never guessed that.
But my snacking has changed.
Has it?
Yes, because I've been watching my A1C. So it's changed. So I do snack differently, but I still like to snack.
One of them being ice cream.
Yeah. But I've changed the ice cream I eat because of my A1C.
Okay.
Yeah, so I go for the Smart Carb by Breyers, which they have very few choices. Oh. Yeah, which is sad. And there was we stopped for ice cream after worship rehearsal, Abby and I, and there was no chocolate. So I had to get this like mint chip kind, which I'm fine with, but I also got some dark chocolate Hershey's syrup to put because
okay.
Yeah,
So
and they were all out of the sugar free. I was going to go for the sugar free syrup. They were all out. But anyways, so yes, I shop with a list. I shop with purpose, and sometimes I'll deviate from the list depending on, I may think of things when I'm there. I'm like, oh, that didn't make it on the list, but I know we need that. But I do think very similar to you too. Like I'm looking at the cost of things and, or maybe something's out and we'll just decide, no, we'll just go without it. Or,
sometimes.
things like that. I had another thought too. I don't know if it's going to come back
Well,
to me
while
at
you're
this
thinking
point.
of that, I mean, here's an example. During COVID, you could get I call it a tub canister of, say, Crisco.
Crisco. You still use that?
Well, I do when I bake
Okay.
for only certain things.
I haven't
like
even heard that
frosting.
word in years,
I know.
Crisco.
Do you know how much it was?
$12.
Close.
Yeah?
For a canister of lard? I mean, I was in shock. So I went without. I'm like, it's staying right there on the shelf. I'm not taking $8 or whatever it was and paying for a can of Crisco. And this was in a supermarket that had lower costs.
Walmart. Lucy's trying to be discreet, and I'm like,
trying not
is
to.
it Walmart? 'Cause
And actually,
I have some grievance with Walmart. Don't get me started.
it was actually Aldi.
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 I don't really go there a whole lot.
I love Aldi.
Do you?
I do because they have organic things. Like their eggs are organic. Here I am plugging the eggs.
Listen,
Sorry.
Aldi, Walmart, don't take any offense at us
Yeah,
or
please,
anything
no.
like that. Although Walmart, I do believe you've deviated from Sam Walton's original vision.
I think so too.
But anyways,
I
that's
agree.
a whole nother.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a whole nother thing. All right, let me say my other thought before
Okay,
it
yes,
leaves, because
yes.
if it's gone, then I might not
hear ya.
retrieve it
I
ever
hear ya.
again. All right, so we're talking about wisdom, and we're talking about the list and everything, and this is going to make sense, right? Because you guys are listening and watching. Why they're talking about groceries? Like they're not even saying anything that I can use in my life today. The wisdom of God, I believe,
Yes.
will tame you.
So good. So good.
It will tame you
I agree.
in so many ways. Here we are. We're talking about grocery lists.
Yep.
Okay, we're talking about grocery lists. We're talking about shopping in the store. How does the wisdom of God have anything to do when you're? It gets into every crevice of your life if you allow it. If you allow God to have every part of you, which that's really how this works.
Good.
Okay, we fully submit our lives to Him, and then we yield every part of ourselves to the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
Okay, and God's wisdom will work through our lives, and then you'll get these checks. And at Christians, you'll hear we'll say this term. I had a check in my spirit. Okay, you get these checks
Yes.
from God,
Yes.
and it just makes you aware, and it
Does.
tames you instead of just throwing this in the cart and throwing that in the cart and everything. No, you're exercising wisdom. Is this cost effective? Do I need this? Is now a good time? You had said, do I buy the shirt? Well, of course I always want a new shirt, but there are a lot of times where I have to be like, no, I can't have that right now. That's finances are what they are. Mr. Budget says what he says, and I do want to say this to you folks who listen and watch. Listen, if you don't have a budget, you need to have a budget.
Amen.
Okay, your household needs to be run like a business.
Yep.
It really does. You need to have a budget where all the things that you know that are going out, all your bills, you've got them all listed. I use in Google, I have my spreadsheet, okay, so I can retrieve it from anywhere, and I've got everything color-coded by the weeks and the dates, okay? So I've got it all laid out, and then I go through pay periods when Kim and I get paid,
Okay.
and then I'll go through and I'll start marking them green when I know, and I have all of our stuff on auto pay too.
Oh,
So
you do?
yeah, it goes
Okay.
right to my Discover card, and then I just big payments to the Discover card.
Gotcha.
And then that way I'm just and I'll mark things since things are on auto pay. And at the church too, all of our bills are on auto pay. I used to not be a fan of auto pay.
Yeah.
But if you steward your finances appropriately, auto pay can be great because then you're never late.
That is so true.
You're never late.
But
Did you hear me on that? You're not paying bills late.
But I have a question on that.
Yeah.
The reason I don't have auto pay is because I've never had like 2 or 3 paychecks in the bank. So here's what happens. In the event something happens, in the event that something happens, I have that auto pay scheduled, but something comes up where somebody needs, say, $500 or $600, and it's in my pay. and whoops, it's not there because auto pay took it. So I have this thing. I don't like that. I like to know that there's something extra, and really having a nice savings account would help. And I have a little bit, but nothing that I would really want to just. I just want it to stay there if possible. It's for a rainy day, and a rainy day.
I can speak to that.
Yeah, speak.
Okay. In a budget, you need to also budget for that. So
Okay.
For the unknown, whatever you want to call it, miscellaneous, the unknown, what you plan on giving away,
Right.
whether you're going to save it, and so that does. I'm not saying that my way is better than your way or anything like that, but and that's also why I use my credit card for all the payments.
That's
they don't
true.
debit from my checking account.
Gotcha. That's the difference. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If I had,
That makes sense.
no, even if I had millions of dollars, I probably would still use the credit card because I just feel like and I know there are other folks out there, there are other financial advisors, there are other people that are good with money, and I've heard this teaching before. They will tell you the same thing. They will tell you, don't use your debit card for all that, your auto pay and stuff like that, your online transactions, because you're at greater risk. You're at much less risk when you use your credit card for that.
Absolutely.
Now, I know that for those of you who follow the Dave Ramsey teachings, which I'm not against any of that. I love Dave Ramsey. I think that he's fantastic, and I think that his principles are absolutely great. I don't do all of them, okay, because I know he's not for credit cards. I think if credit cards are used wisely, they can be of great value. So anyways, all my stuff goes on the credit card, and then when I go to pay, like Kim and I, we receive our paychecks or direct deposit, and I don't just empty out the checking account and just put it all back on the Discover card because all the bills were there. I'll still leave some in the checking account. I'll still leave a few $100. It's there, and then sometimes that's what I'll use for the groceries or something, and I don't use the Discover card. I mix it up.
You mix it up. Yeah.
I mix it up sometimes. But you were saying something about, what if I need to give this away or whatnot? Well, that's why I'll leave some in the checking account. So if I do need to, if I'm able, and that's another thing too.
Yeah.
Okay. Not everybody's emergency is your emergency.
That's right.
You just heard me say that. Some of you need to hear that because some of you have codependent relationships and you're completely flat, busted, broke, and in debt because you have some bums in your life that are bleeding you dry financially. Okay? You need to break that and sever that codependency. Not everybody's emergency is your emergency. We are not responsible for everyone. We are mostly responsible to people. All right. Not everyone in your life. You're responsible for your young ones. You're responsible. Right. So hear me when I say that. Right. But not everybody in your life you're responsible for. You're just responsible to them.
And there's
a big difference.
And if I might add that a little bit more to that, I actually was doing that with some family members. Quite a while.
Helping them out financially?
Yes, helping them financially, thinking I was doing the right thing. And one day, God got a hold of me and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "You are enabling. You are enabling them to think they always have a place to go, and not me. They're not coming to me. They're coming to you." Oh, that just really opened my eyes, and I immediately stopped. No more. Now, when it came to birthdays and things of that sort, because they were family, I could do something. But no more charity. Nope. You can enable somebody to, they're always, as you said, codependent. That's not what we want. That's not what God wants.
It can ruin their life.
It can ruin their lives. And I've seen it happen. Again, we talk about wealth and we talk about the need. We think it's a need to have this and that. It's really not. And when we start thinking that it is when we run into trouble. And I know from my own experience, and I mentioned it earlier, I think earlier in the podcast a few sessions ago, that I was gambling. And some of that, again, if somebody would see that in me and have said something, maybe it would have been a different story. I would have realized, wait a minute, am I in over my head? Is there, number one, I would never advocate for that. I mean, it's a personal choice. For me, I will never do that again. I will not step foot in a place like that. And it's just my personal, conviction. So, but I was enabling myself by giving myself whatever excuses it was for that to have more. It does not work. Having everything we think we have to have, a new dress, a new car, whatever it is really, it's really binding us. It's oppressing us in a lot of ways. We don't have the freedom anymore. We have debt we have to pay. I am so debt-free and so happy to be debt-free. Not everybody can be that way. I understand it takes time. It takes a plan from the Lord. In my case, it did, to show me how to get out of it, how to pay. I have credit cards that pay rewards. I purposely put my stuff on my credit card because at the end of the month, I could have $40 or $45 in rewards. And I have.
I've got rewards banking up with Discover right now. And that's another.
So that's wisdom.
That is wisdom, and that was something I learned from the Tanners when they were pastoring. And I know Robert and Julie are big fans on the miles. They like to earn the travel miles.
Yeah, right.
And there was the time where Kim and I went to Niagara Falls for. It was around one of our anniversaries, but we had been married at that time. It was 23 or 24 years, and we had not yet gone on a honeymoon because we never honeymooned after we got married.
Oh, okay.
And they sponsored the whole trip with their miles.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, for the hotel stay in Niagara Falls.
Wow.
On their miles.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because. You've just got to exercise wisdom. Mm-hmm. Not all credit cards are the same,
No.
And some, if you can, pick and choose the credit card you want.
Yeah.
Just there may be different things that you're looking for at the time. Maybe you get a credit card and it's got 18 months of 0% interest, and maybe that it's time for a balance transfer for those 18 months, or if you're paying a balance down or you need a new card for something. I did that with Bank of America. I obtained a card last year that had 18 months of no interest. Now, my favorite card of all the cards I have is my Discover card. Because it's 5% cash back.
That's nice.
And they do it every 3 months. So every quarter, they give you something different. And we're about to come in July. We're about to come to where it's 5% cash back at Walmart and some other things. And we shop at Walmart a lot. And I'm like, this is about to be my season. And I've already got like, $70, I think, in rewards that are just sitting there, and I just let it sit there. And then what I'll do is I'll just let it roll over into a payment, once it racks up. But they also do, because they do this cashback matching, I've got just a smidge over 200 that they're going to pay out to me at some point. Yeah, and I'll be able to just apply that to the balance. Wonderful. Last year, I had it was like almost 450. So I'm telling you, you shop around and you get the right credit card, and you utilize, especially if you're watching different things like with this Discover card we have. Last year there was a time where shopping at Target, so we was 5% cash back for those 3 months. So we shopped at Target a lot. We did most of our grocery shopping and stuff there, and because you're always racking 5% cash back is a lot, friends.
It is a lot.
That's a lot.
But you know what? We also need to put a little pointer in here too, that we're talking about paying a balance off every month too. We're not talking about racking up $1,000, $2,000 just to get the rewards. We're talking about, and I'm not saying that that's what we do, but if you have a balance, say of $500, know you can pay that when it's due. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, all of the other stuff is really moot in my book. You have to be able to pay, and not everybody can. So. Mm-hmm. We just need the wisdom to do the budget, find out how God wants to navigate those funds, whether it's paying a bill or whether it's fun somewhere or buying a dress or a shirt. He's got the plan. He's got the plan for us.
Yeah, it's. Let me speak to a couple other things since we're on the topic of finances, because I have credit cards with balances on them.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes. Yep. So for those of you in life that are like that, let me say this: you do need to be sure when it boils down to your cash and your expenses, your earnings need to be more. Even if you have credit cards or loans or whatever it is, you've got auto loans, mortgage, student loans, credit card balances, whatever it is, whatever payments you're making out on a monthly basis. What you're earning does need to be more than what's going out. Let there be a buffer of sorts. Okay? Even if you find that every month you're exhausting that buffer's still there. You don't want to build your budget off of this is the budget and this is the income and they're the exact same. Man, I'm telling you, you're just waiting to fail.
Yep.
You're on the brink of it not working. Have some smidge of a buffer. Yeah. You do want to have some savings if you can get to that point. I wish that Kim and I were building more savings presently. We do have an IRA. We do have life insurance, which if you don't have any of those things, those of you watching and listening, you want to have those things, trust me. And don't think that you're too young to have either of those things, especially with the IRA. Start now. Get us some kind of investment savings plan that you're building towards your retirement, your future, right? Okay, whether you're just saving cash, I would say have something that you can be earning on the dollars, or do both. Have cash that's just cash that you can use if you need it, and then something else like an IRA or something of the sorts. And life insurance also very valuable, especially if you're married, married with children. Please have some life insurance. God forbid something tragic happen. You want to make sure that your spouse, your significant other, is able to flatline financially with your life insurance premium, with the payout. Exactly. That they have enough to cover funeral, that they have enough to completely pay off everything that is owed and start over again. This is, because we're talking about wisdom. These are wise things to do. All right, so your income needs to be more than your expense. More than your expenses. So don't let, and if you find that you're getting to the point where you're like, oh, you're adding more subscriptions for streaming services, you're you get another loan or this or that or the other thing, just don't exhaust the buffer. Don't go all the way to the end of it. All right. And then if you have, like me, you've got some credit cards with balances on them, do this. Don't just pay only the minimums. Right. At least pay the minimums, please. Yeah. But if you're like, okay, I've got so many, and I can this one, the minimum is 35, but I can pay 100 on it this month, or I can easily. You had some extra come in or something like that. I can easily drop 300 on this. Do that. Absolutely. Please do that. That would be the smartest thing to do. And then, Dave Ramsey teaches the whole snowball principle. Snowball the things. Do that. Pay the one that has the lowest balance, pay that off first, and then what you've allocated towards payments, keep rolling that over. So if you're like, okay, I'm budgeting $500 a month for credit card payments, pay off that small one, but keep paying $500 a month. That's right. If you can. That's right. I understand there's a juggle sometimes, and a lot of folks do live paycheck to paycheck. All right. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck and your income is salary or salary-ish based, which means you've got very little to no income potential, all right, which means you don't earn income on commission, right, and you don't really have the capability to do things like overtime, Yeah. So when I say income potential means that you don't have the ability for your income to increase by you working more
Right.
or by some other means. Your income is what they call fixed income, or it's fixed-ish income.
Yes.
That's how it is for Kim and I. I have a salary from the church, doesn't ever change. My pay is exactly the same every pay period. My wife's, she has very, very minimal income potential. It's essentially the same because she works the same amount of hours and it just fluctuates. Her paycheck per pay period may fluctuate by $100 or so per pay period. So it might be $100 less, $100 more. So for Kim and I, that means we about probably 95 or more % of our income is fixed. That means we have to live off of that. I can't max the budget out or match it. It's got to be under. Okay? So I know we've kind of gotten off. We were actually, when we were formulating the idea for this podcast, you and I wanted to talk about finances at one point. And since we've been talking about the wisdom of God, and
really
obviously the Lord led us here to this point, we understand that, okay, everyone's in a different position financially in life. And even though I do have debt, I am a big advocate for paying that debt off as fast as you can. And living without debt. The biggest thing that you want to make sure that you are is that you're a good steward.
Yes.
Everything that you owe, you are paying, just as the Bible teaches us.
Yes.
Let no debt go outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another. You want to be a good steward of your finances, and you want to be aiming for financial health. So like all these things that we talked about, these are like must-haves in life. You have to have a budget.
Yep, absolutely.
We highly recommend that outside of your health insurance, if you don't have health insurance, please, why? Why do you not have health insurance? Don't tell me you can't afford it. You need it. I'm telling you right now, the day comes when you break your leg and you got to go to the ER, you're going to be wishing you had health insurance that day. Trust me, it's valuable. You need health insurance. All right, health insurance. And then you need life insurance. Then you need some type of retirement savings. You need these things. And this is all outside of, first and foremost, please make sure that you're honoring God with your tithe.
So true.
The 10% of your income that you're giving back to the kingdom of God for the growth and the advancement of the kingdom of God and the spreading of the gospel. So you're living on your 90%. So when we're talking about your budget, you're not budgeting off of 100% of your income. You're budgeting off of 90% of your income. And it's more than enough, fam. If you're thinking, I can't live on 90%, it's more than enough. Get rid of some things. Yep. You don't need the Netflix. You don't need the Spotify. Right. You don't need if it's going to cause you to rob from God. No. All right. So you need those things. You give to God. Health insurance, life insurance, retirement savings, some other kind of cash savings. If you can live off of the rest, stay financially fit. Your life is going to thank you.
For sure. And going back to the credit cards, I'm not going to say for positive, I don't remember exactly what I had in debt. They were all credit card debts and maybe a car payment in there somewhere. But what I ended up doing, which was just God, find a credit card company, like you said earlier, 0% for 18 months. If you have a balance over here on this one, take that balance transfer and pay that one off. You have a few months of 0%.
18 months that you can pay. You're not accruing interest.
And you might be able to pay that one off that you have a balance on. It might just work. It did for me. And then at the end of the 15 months or 18 months, you can. I applied for another card with 0%. I kept the 0% running. It literally paid off by the time I did that. Applied 2 or 3 or 4 years in a row for those. I literally paid, and I figured it out. Like over the course of 4 years, I might have paid $500 in interest for a loan that was several thousands of dollars.
So let's just chat on that for just I know we're getting kind of lengthy here, but let's just chat on that for just a moment, because this is the last episode of the season. But this is like
super
Yeah,
important.
some of you pay tons of money for courses to learn some of these things. Okay, so this system that Lucy was using, 0% interest on credit cards to keep from paying interest, but then paying one off and then applying for another one. Okay, so one thing you want to be wise about in doing that is you need to space with long spaces when you apply.
Right.
When is it good to apply for another one? It's good to apply for another one if your credit score has raised to a point to where you can sacrifice some numbers.
That's true.
Okay, because a hard credit pool is going to slam your credit score.
Although with one particular vendor, I was told it will not do that.
They say that, but I don't trust any of them, just being honest.
Yeah, I don't trust that either. But either way, and it doesn't last forever. So
No, it doesn't.
You have to weigh everything out. The other problem with balance transfer, somewhat, and yet it's really not, is the percentage that they take when you transfer a balance. Like it's usually 3% with the one I'm with. Although they turn around and give you 200, 300, whatever it was, rewards. So it really pays for itself. So when you look at this thing as a whole, it can be done. God can navigate how to do it if you listen. And I mean, I keep thinking it was miraculous for me. For what I had to pay off was miraculous. So I'm so thankful that he showed me these things. I still utilize them. I still will take advantage of those at times, although I like the fact that I don't really have to. But I'm on a fixed budget too. I get a pension, a little small pension, and Social Security. So I'm on a plan. But God still blesses. We can be fixed as all get out. But he comes along sometimes and just blows our socks off and says, okay, this is for you.
At the end of the day, all of these things that we're talking about and we're teaching, we need to have a desire to honor God through it.
Yes.
Okay. I want to add just one more thing, just so I've said it. Since we're talking about this whole thing of, paying off credit cards, opening new ones and things like that. Sometimes you might think to yourself, like, for example, if you're in a spot in life where you've got some credit cards and they're maxed out and you're like, oh my gosh, but you're paying them, but you're like, oh my gosh, they're all maxed out. And this is the reporting monthly is killing me because it's showing that I'm 80%, 90% credit card utilization. If you're thinking, I'm never going to be able to pay these off fast enough to get that down to get my score to jump up.
Yeah.
All right. This I do believe this is a healthy tip, and I believe it's a healthy tip because I learned this through Credit Karma, which I use the Credit Karma app to track my credit scores. It's not going to give you like the most accurate depiction, but it's going to give you something that at least tells you something that gives you an idea of how close you may be. You're probably going to be. You're going to really differentiate, and you'll find out when you apply for a loan. Yeah. It's not as high as you thought it was. But anyways, sometimes Credit Karma will say, hey, your credit card utilization is high. Applying for a new card may help you bring the utilization down. And I learned that was actually so healthy. For me, it was for a while. If you open another card or a couple of cards and you don't use them, and now, let's say you had $10,000 of credit line availability between all your cards or one card or whatever, and you open another one or two or whatever, and now you get another $5,000, but you don't use it. Right. If you were already 80, 90% utilization on the one card, you're almost maxed out of what's available. Well, now it raises the ceiling for you, and that's going to make your utilization come down, which the reporting is going to be better for you. You just got to be disciplined. Don't use those new cards. Don't. I just got a new card recently through Amazon. I got a store card, and the reason why I decided to apply and take the offer was because I was cashing out, and when I was checking out, there was an offer. It said, hey, we'll give you a $60 gift card if you open an Amazon store card. Check if you're pre-approved. So I checked. I was pre-approved. I was like, They're going to give me an instant $60. Now, what I was doing is I was shopping for Father's Day gifts for dads here at the church for this coming Father's Day. And I'm not going to say what the gifts were, but I ended up getting the gifts for the dads for only like $40.
Oh my goodness.
And I ordered 20 of what I ordered because I got the gift card by applying for the Amazon store card. I'm not going to ever use. Matter of fact, I just canceled my Prime because I signed up for Daily Wire. So I traded one subscription for another. I was like, you know what? Haven't been finding too many things I want to watch on Prime. And yes, I know I get free shipping, but like I don't order that much that I can justify paying $15 a month.
No.
So I let Prime go for Daily Wire. Sometimes you may want to do that with your subscription, swap one out for another.
True.
Especially if you're like, you know what, I'm watching a whole lot of Netflix and I'm just not catching enough new stuff fast enough. Sign up for another one. Trade them out for something else. And then you might find, oh, okay, there's some movies I didn't know existed and they're only on this platform. They're only on Hulu. They're only on, Prime or something like that, or Apple or whatever. And it mixes it up for you. But you're not having two at the same time.
Yeah.
You're giving up one for the other. So I gave up Prime for Daily Wire. But I before I gave up Prime, I took that offer, and not only did I get free shipping, but I got the $60 gift card. They applied it instantly when I checked out, and I have another $500 that's going to raise my credit card utilization, and that's just going to sit there because I'll never use that card. Sorry, Amazon.
Oh, now you know.
Yeah. No, because it's, what I'm saying? It's not nothing against it. I just don't need it, but I'm thankful for it.
But your point is, having said all that you just said about the cards and in the situations that it really, we can look at it negatively. Oh, I don't want any credit cards.
I don't want another one. I don't want, I got too many as it is.
Or you can make it work for you.
Yes.
Which is exactly what he did, exactly what I've done. And you know what? I kind of laugh because I don't pay any interest every month, and I get rewards, so they're paying me to use their card. And
as soon as I have some of mine paid off that I'm paying down,
pay you too.
I'm going to get rid of them. As soon as I don't need them anymore, you know what I'm saying? And I know I can manage my utilization between like 1 or 2 or 3 cards. I'm going to keep the best ones, and the rest of them I'm just going to close them out and be done with it. Move on in life.
That's right. In as far as Prime, I'm going to stick my little nose into this one. I never have bought Prime, and I'm sorry, I just can't. It's the old school in me. I can't do it. What am I paying for? I'm paying for free shipping. Well, guess what? I always get free shipping with my Amazon because I order ahead of time, a little bit of time. They stretch it out. It's not shipped yet, not yet, because they want you to pay for the Prime. I can live with it. Okay, I don't need to pay for shipping, and I'm not going to pay for shipping.
Yeah, unless you're watching the streaming service. Like if you're not streaming, Amazon Prime, and you're not watching the movies, or if you're not, and it's just for the shipping, and you don't buy enough to justify it,
I buy
it's not. Yeah. No, we were, for us it was for the movies, because
gotcha.
we've got Prime, Amazon. What else do we have? Disney Plus.
The whole gamut.
Yeah, we had Apple too, but we had some. We really need to close this out.
I know.
Anyways, so I still have 2 phones on a T-Mobile account, and T-Mobile gives free Apple Plus and free Netflix.
Okay.
All right, so that's a whole nother thing too. And then when you're shopping around for phone services, you want to look for the bargains, the offers, and I'm not advocating for T-Mobile. Trust me, and some of you know why.
Yeah, I do.
But anyways, so we had those for free. Anyways, maybe because I had a hiccup and a thought right there. This is a time to wind it down and be done.
And really, again, the bottom line is these choices we get to make, but we can make them with wisdom.
God's wisdom.
We really can, yes. And when we do it His way, oh my goodness, the rewards are wonderful. I mean, my car I drive, He paid off. He paid my car off. I know this sounds...
God just paid the roof loan off at the church. Remember that offer we took?
Mm-hmm. So nothing is impossible for Him as long as we're doing it in partnership with Him. As long as we're doing things His way, He will bless that every time. Obedience is better than sacrifice. It really is.
It really is. And being a good steward is going to pave the way for you.
Amen.
And we see that in Scripture. Jesus talks very specifically about that. And it's listen, if you fail to plan, you
Preach it.
plan
To
to fail.
So true. And I'm a planner.
Me too.
Got to.
Love plans.
Me too. And order and organization and all that good stuff that goes with it.
Oh, jeez. Well, friends,
Okay.
this is the end of season 1. So thank you so much for being with us.
you.
Please subscribe,
Yes.
hit the bell icon so that when season 2 kicks off, you're getting those notifications when those videos start to drop. You can find us on all the socials. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we are on Facebook. We appreciate your likes,
Yes.
your comments. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well. We appreciate your reviews. We definitely want to hear from you
Yes, we do.
and find out what it is that God has said through us to help you and to help bring some context into culture. We're excited to take a summer break and then meet with you guys again September 2024 when we launch season number 2. But for now, we're going to close things out and
we appreciate you as viewers. We really enjoy.
Yeah.
We just have to say we enjoy doing this. We think it's fun. We also think it's impactful. So we hope you do too. But please let us know if there's something you would even like us to talk about in your comment area.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
yeah, give us some suggestions for future content.
Yeah.
We're all about it, and we'd love to sort through that and discover some new things to chat about. But I think for now, that's on God, Lucy.
I think that's on God.
We'll see you guys next season.